This year, I think the weather is also like of my childhood, and rainfall at night is very much it's comfortable and it friendly to all the people, because at in the daytime everyone can do their work normally, and at night they can have a good chill night in this
It rains
hot.
here this time of year too.
Yeah.
And it's because everything's starting to grow from the winter, and so
Mm.
all the tulips are coming up, and the spring flowers are all coming up, and it's a lovely time of year. But as I say, one day it can be hot and the next day cold, so
Mm.
you never know what to put on because it could be either way.
Yeah, it if it rains, it becomes cold here, and if it doesn't rain, it is warm weather here. So if it rains, immediately we need to search for the warm clothes. We don't have heating system inside the house here. Usually, none of us, like very few um, business apartments, and very few people, the private houses, they have the heating system, but usually we don't have.
Well, we all have heating systems.
So
We,
that weather, like the rain and the cold, it easily affects us.
yes.
Mhm.
Well, it affects us, but not inside.
Yeah.
So you went through last time's recording.
Yeah, I did. I sent you the transcribe notes and the video I uploaded in the YouTube as well.
So you make a reference to Rinpoche. Is it Rinpoche or Rinpoche?
That just I have in my I had in my mind, so I just noted down there. If needed, I could include that somewhere in my explanation in the paper. So I just noted for my reference.
Yeah, so what I'd suggest is you actually look up the exact reference and put the full reference in there so you've got it exactly so you can quote it. Do you have that original?
Yeah,
Is
I
it?
have a book there. I have a book, and um, I can bring exact quotation from there and keep there with reference.
I think that would be a good idea. So, and what about Herrera? Have you got that original quote too?
Sorry?
The first, you say spirituality is an expression of how to be in the world and to explain the unexplored wholeness.
Yeah,
Herrera,
yeah.
do you have that original quote too?
I have one that is in my PDF. It is in PDF form.
Okay, so when you're doing a quote, to save yourself a lot of headaches later, you should put in the exact quote with the page number and how the reference would appear in a reference section. Because afterwards, trying to find references can drive you mad.
Hmm.
And we don't need that, do we?
Yeah. I
So,
have one confusion. Um, like last time when I talked with you, and while I was working with the video and the words there, I'm I find myself I'm not getting uh, living theory methodology, and I have not been using appropriately. Like I think in that way it is because I have not created or I have not internalized at what exactly living theory methodology. I feel so. I'm in the process to, I guess I have already done it, but it is not very much visible to me.
Uh,
I feel in that way. I feel in that way.
well,
And
keep
uh,
that.
as you said, methodological inventiveness, the term you have told me, that is very much clear to me. Like the process, the way I did is in the line. I understand. I understood and internalized it. The way I picked up so many main or the useful components from different worldviews, different approaches, different inquiries, and I used in my research process. And I I made it, I already contributed, I made a difference in the field. I already did it, and that is the methodology which is already generated, but I am not able to name it, and I'm not completely able to say yes, this is my new living theory methodology. Now that will be the living theory methodology, I guess. The term which I am using for living theory methodology is just what I wanted to say was exactly living theory methodology I had been using for the question which was posed by Jack Whitehall: how can we improve our practices, or how can we improve our professional practices, or how can we improve what we have been doing. It can be of different forms, including my research issue there. So I use that question as research living theory methodology. Perhaps my the way I have been using living theory methodology in my whole conversation with you since beginning till the last one, I feel I have not been using that particular living theory methodology uh, appropriately. I mean to say, after I internalize my own methodology, then only I can tell that is my living theory methodology. My living theory methodology. So, in fact, I wanted to use how can we improve what we have been doing, or I was using that question as living theory methodology. So just I wanted to share this with you. So what do you say on it, on this my confusion?
It's part of the process, Parbati. It's completely understandable and appropriate. Um, the basic question is, how can I improve my practice? Yes.
Mm,
Uh, there certainly are other components to it, but you are completely free to create your own methodology, and you are already drawing from different methodologies, which is what I'll send you that full quotation of Marian Dad's about methodological inventiveness. I'll send you the whole quotation because it basically says in the rest of the paragraph that a, a researcher must really create her own methodology, that you draw insights from others, but you have to create your own way of creating meaning. And I think that is what you're doing. And I don't you don't need to feel that there is a prescription that you need to follow. I mean, that's the fun of this, is making it your own way.
mm,
And I mean, you understand that living theory is a values-based inquiry.
mm,
I mean, and you're you're explaining the nature of how you live your values, how you influence others in a positive way, and how
mm,
you try to uh, contribute to a human flourishing. mean, you're doing all those things. So I don't think you need to worry at all. I think you are on the inside.
I like since last conversation, like while I was talking also, and since then I felt the I was not using that terminology as it should be understood. I felt in that way from the I mean to use, or I was using the question that which I have shared with you as parallelly with, or let's say I thought that is the living theory methodology. But in fact, when you have given me idea of methodological inventiveness, then I realize yes, uh, that is the living theory methodology which I have generated in my own way. Now my concern is I need to name it, I guess, right? Like for example, in living theory, living love is my own living theory, right?
It is your value that you try to live every
Yes.
day, and
Mm-hmm.
and living that value is a way of you explaining the nature of your influence.
Hmm.
So it
Now,
is an explanatory principle, is the language. So when you say, so I'm doing this and this and this, and then your question is, am I living my value of living love? Yes or no, or to what degree? And that is your living theory.
hmm.
It's an explanation of your life, how
Yeah.
you live, how you try to be a better person every day, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. I guess I have understood that part of living theory uh, easily, more easily than living theory methodology.
It's now become very natural for you. And
Hmm.
so you're now looking for the words to explain it. And I think you're very close.
Uh,
I
the
can
the
Jack's words, but those are not your words.
hmm.
And it's important that it's in your own words.
Yeah. And the painting I shared with you.
Hmm? Yeah, neat.
So how did you find that?
Well, I'm just going to get it up so you can explain to me exactly what it is. So I've got this uh, little picture up. It says brighter one.
Hmm, yeah, brighter one. That I chose the brighter one image from all of the images, just that one. And I do you like to hear about that picture?
Definitely.
I will explain. Mm, where is it? Yes, I have this here. Uh, this is in totality. This is the picture or image of all inclusiveness.
Ah,
That is the main overall metaphor of all inclusiveness
okay.
or interconnectedness. Now, what I have in my mind and how I have been thinking on it, I will explain this. This picture is the image of God, Hindu God. Here are two, you can see one male and female, half male and half female. In other mythologies also we hear half animal, half human being or something like that. And it is in our Hindu religion, this is the particularly male god is the one of the major gods, and the other half is his better half actually. He, and there is one story related to this. Um, I need to have reference for it, but as far as I remember, like this Siva, or we call it yes, we call Siva. Siva, he and Parvati. It's a so coincident. Her name is also Parvati.
Really?
Yes, and they are husband and wife, and they live in the Himalaya.
Oh, isn't it?
And in Himalaya, they were there in the Himalaya, and they were in very good harmonious moment. And there is one story in between I have forgotten. And at that time, what happens is Siva, he is so receptive, and he included her within him. So this is the that I understood in that way. So this is the image of inclusiveness, metaphor of inclusiveness. And here I see my worldview, that is multi-paradigmatic worldview. There are multiple paradigms of worldview in my research process. As My research began with the critical paradigm, with the problem based, or the intending to improve the practices of the teachers, improve their collaboration, or bring more justice in their practices. So I had that kind of emancipatory interest to envisioning to have the more justice, or to have more empower the teacher, let's say, in very short way. And later on, as I've said, interpretive paradigm, uh, embracing or letting things to evolve on its own, respecting their local knowledge, respecting their strength, best practices. So I had interpretive paradigm there. And in between, since I had been dealing with the communication, collaboration and communication, like I created the space for the proper collaboration for the teachers, and reflective activities and other activities, so that my main major role was to create the space for the democratic participation of the teachers for the ongoing collaborative activities. So in that sense, I use different arts form there. From, like, I began with the picture photo, then like the informal talks, very local way of interaction, and then formal workshop and discussion and meetings. At the same time, I use photographs, then videos, video reflection, and arts based workshop. So I had included arts there. And it becomes postmodern paradigm. So I brought the issue component from the postmodern paradigm. So it becomes multi-paradigmatic research. And I had, for this, I had integral perspective in, like, in the living theory paper also. I have tried to include Eastern traditional wisdom and Western modern worldview uh, in that way. And in my gender paper also, I try to bring Eastern and Western both ways of knowing things, and try to bring them not what do we say, not one over other, rather bringing things together, and trying to look into being in at the middle. Like, there you can see the white part there, trying to see, I try to see in that way. Sometimes I may be more towards one side sometimes, but uh, I try to be flexible and try to balance the both. That is a holistic perspective which I have tried to bring. And at the same time, I try to look into using this image. I'm trying to see the development inside Like I use the term um, journey inside and outside, like inner world and outer world, means personal development and at the same time professional development, what happens inside. So it also uses the interconnected ways of knowing
Yeah.
by different inquiry. Like recently I had read a paper that there I find body mindfulness, not only mindfulness but body mindfulness, that included body, emotion, feeling, mind and spirit, all integrated, very much holistic. So that is interconnected knowing also. And very simply saying, like inner emotions and outer logical ways of knowing, so in very briefly saying. And then this image, how I have imagined is, this image is performative pose or dancing pose. uh, the, like this god has is popular in his dance also. uh, One, there is one terminology. Other gods may not dance, but he dances there with his own musical instrument. There is one you can see in his hand, that is the musical instrument, and it doesn't need any other things to play. That is very much magical. It just it produces sounds on its own, just like moving like this. Other instrument needs something to play, but it just if we set it, automatically it produces the sounds. And that is there are so many things related to it. Everything it may not be suitable or appropriate to bring everything there, but from research I another is I have used aesthetic inquiry, um, arts based in aesthetic arts based inquiry, that is in integrated form. Like I use different arts, like a narrative, then I use picture, like as I have said, so many forms, so integrated form of arts. And I said of genre also, performative inquiry would be appropriate for this. So there is the performance action, as it is pursuit action research, so action, there should be action, not like sitting an idle one, but in action. So I see everything, my whole research within this metaphor, and I'm trying to articulate in my writing and how it moves on. Like next part is that you can see the cycle or circle there. These are the cycle of my research: need assessment, cycle 1, cycle 2 and cycle 3. And in yogic way of knowing things, we have seven cycles, or seven we call chakra inside our body, like in this position, seven cycles, or we call chakra wheel, that is in the form of wheel. And it is referred by Wilber's integral theory also, integral philosophy. It talks about with the teacher's professional development also, he has talked about it, about the seven wheels of imaginary wheels of inside human body. So like I have linked with this four pursuit action research cycles with my with the cycles of let's say wheels of human body. And my main now till now I have been saying collaboration, that is at the center, that is at the center. And the amazing part is this center wheel is the uh, if it is called center, it controls the upper wheels and lower wheels, and it balances. That amazing part is there. It balances both as it is centrous. Below wheels are considered as lower wheels, but in spirituality or in our understanding, they are not lower wheels, but all are equally important. Like in professional development, Maslow's needs. There are different layers of needs. That lower are considered as lower needs are considered as not much important in many of the needs of the teacher, like they are basic needs, so it is not much important in professional. But this question that no, all cycles or all wheels are equally important. If the lower wheels are not activated, or if they are not in motion, if they are not in action, then other wheels also they do not get influence. So if one wheel is in action, it influences other wheels also. And if the central wheel is activated, or that is heart or love, I can link with that. So if there is love, if there is heart, or if there is collaboration, all come into the middle cycle. If it is there, then all other, like all seven, we have, it is said we have seven wheels, imaginary wheels, so all activates, or they it plays the role to balance all. So that is the main essence. The things which I have been saying, I don't have much reference. I need to work a lot to bring all those references, but I'm sure I can collect, and I'm trying to bring all. And each of us, what I'm thinking is, all the teachers, they have their own strength, and all the teachers have, they have their own strength, and which will is was activated, or which in which will they were more um, um, let's say um, which will they had influence, or my research influence which of the wheels, or I can link that growth there. Like Wilbers also has talked a little bit about it. This is the what do we say, uh, parameter to check uh, how much the person is developed or not, something like. I need to study a lot and Wilver's that area to evaluate, to see how the growth, the level of growth, or if I go in that way, I may not go in that way, but this can be the parameter to see the development growth of the teacher. And to show the differences, at least I can show the two differences. First, in the need assessment phase, where was the what was the position at last, what was the things influence, how they were influenced in these three or in these seven ways. I can uh, draw a few things there. This is the whole idea which I have in my mind. So that's all about this.
It sounds pretty exciting. I mean, you must be feeling that, aren't you?
Sorry.
Are you feeling excited?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I had this some kind of very rough idea since beginning, but I was not very much into this, to follow this, to have this, and try to recently when all thinking of all the world views and the perspectives and inquiries I'm just about to write down. So I thought, why not to bring my actually what I did and how did I do. So at that moment I tried to bring into one image metaphor, so that I won't be deviated. So I brought this one, and I may move with this, and I don't know how it goes on and how it progresses. This is my starting point.
Well, it's very exciting. Honestly, I'm and fascinating. I think it will help you to explain the nature of your influence with this. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think I recently in yesterday's my I have posted in Facebook also. In my power class we had art-based reflection session, and there I presented this image, and just I shared few words on it. This way I have been trying to make meaning of the my research, and this is the metaphor which I have used, and they have also brought some images and things. So to have the class kind of motivation, I have used this image, and they really appreciated. And one of my student, he created the poem out of it.
Woo.
Uh, and I asked him to share with me. He hasn't sent me it, but I'll be asking what he has said after looking into this image.
Very good. Very good. So you're in your last courses now of the doctoral research. You're in your last class now.
Sorry?
So what happened there? You're in your last class,
Yeah, I was there.
and so they finish in June, do they? The classes?
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I want to put on this one. It is more. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So, you're still taking courses at the university, right?
Courses actually. I have been taking one class. Actually, that is not for us. I wanted to join new PhD students. There are 4 students, and my supervisor, he has been giving online class, and it is convenient for me as well. So I participate there, and what they are doing is they have been now these days. What they have been doing is they are going through one text that is alternative, authentic ways of authentic dissertation, that is alternative ways of doing dissertation. And there are so many stories of the writer of the dissertation, those who have alternative ideas, or they have just broke their limitation boundaries, and they had tried something very much different thing, and how they made it possible, and what is their story. We are going through the those writing that is in the presentation form. And every time we divide the section, and we read it and we present. And for the next class also, last time I also presented one, and next class also I'm going to present one story of the dissertation writer, and her experience, like how she, what she did, how she did, and what was the alternative idea there. So we are doing that, and that is more beneficial for me, because in my coursework I just had class, and we didn't have this kind of uh, discourse. So now I have got opportunity, so I didn't miss it. And next is participatory action research class, which I'm assisting one of the teachers, Dr. Rosni Rajbangsi. She has been leading the class, and I'm assisting her. And there are 12 students in the class, and we have been taking. I'm assisting, like I'm in the somewhere in middle. I'm helping the student and helping the teacher at the same time.
Wow, that's great.
Mm.
I'm having trouble with my screen here. I don't know what's the matter.
I can see in both places here. Let me do this. No? Can you see?
Well, something's got messed up here.
Yeah, you
Ah,
can do it.
here we are. It's okay now.
And I cannot see.
Ah,
Can you see?
I can see you.
Is it done? I cannot see you now. I can see you.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay. So when you finish the courses in June, then it's actually the writing of the thesis.
This is the time of writing thesis.
Oh, it is. You are writing it right now.
Not writing it. I'm just, just I have shared. I'm accumulating the process how I did now. Uh, I have. I need to note down, write down what I have just shared with you. So that could be the. I may begin with the methodological section. I think that would be the right um, point, right section to start for me. I'll be using that metaphor and I'll explain. I'll be writing methodological few parts and then move on to another one.
Okay, great. And do you have a timeline on when you'd like to finish?
Uh, Actually, we were supposed to finish by June,
Oh,
but what happened is, as this is our very new project of Participatory Action Research, nobody knew that it would take so much long time. We were not able to take our field work and writing side by side. It was very much rigorous, time taking, and it took very long time for the field. And our supervisors, they understood our situation, and they have been telling us to continue working, and you need to have good dissertation rather than to finish it. So maybe they excuse us, and uh, I have promised that by December I will not December, yeah, December. By December I will complete at least the first draft, complete draft.
okay.
I have that plan by December.
So I think by talking about this metaphor today, I think you've kind of increased your understanding of its significance in your research, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So, do you want me to transcribe what you said?
This one,
Yes.
mm, uh, we will be using this in the paper.
Yes, we should definitely use this in the paper, don't you think?
Yeah. Yes.
Um, I wonder if I sent you a couple of articles on living theory, if it would help you to feel that you do, in fact, understand it. Would that help?
To understand.
Well, you said that you thought you weren't really on the inside of it at the beginning. I think you
Mm.
are, but would it help you if I sent you some um, writing that explains it in its entirety?
Sure, sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure. Mm.
I don't want you to feel like it's a template that you must use or anything. I mean, this is your living educational theory. It doesn't have to fit a box, you know.
Mm, mm. Yeah.
But I will send you a couple things that might help you feel that you do in fact understand.
Sure. I also need methodological inventiveness. Actually, who has said this and where? I try to find, but I did not find this.
I've got it. I'll send it.
Okay.
Send you. It's Marion Dad's. I'll send you the whole paragraph so you can see the whole context for
Okay.
it.
Yes. Yes.
It's a very nice text called "Doing Research Differently."
Hmm. That alternative dissertation is also the same. There is also the same one. Doing dissertation differently. There are so many crazy ideas there. Crazily they had done, but everything is very much linked to the individual strength, their creativity, their issue, and they are embedded. And we cannot just use others' idea like such, like what our research demands and what it is appropriate to. If I, for example, if I for instance, if I like poetry in others' dissertation, I may not integrate poetry in my dissertation if I'm not able to create on my own. So there are so many things there, and that gave the opportunity to know ourselves better, like what is our strength and how we can articulate in better ways.
Definitely. That's
And in
definitely it.
and in our process also, we can also have some other methods to talk, or we can also express in different way besides this conversation, for example from the picture or from the mm, from any other ways. Like we can also think of it different alternative ways of expressing things at times. As I have said, uh, I'm speaking not in my language barrier. Can be one, like the image which I have showed, or the image which I have through image or through the picture, we can have more understanding of our things discussion. So we can use the picture like very uh, common picture which you can also interpret and I can also interpret. So we can think of drawing, like we can sketch and we can share. So in our next paper, we can employ other arts form to have our expression.
Okay. Well, this has been really good today. Very interesting. I really enjoyed it. So, do you think we need to transcribe your description of this metaphor?
Uh, I will do that. I will do that.
Well, why don't you, I mean, you did some this week. How about I take a turn?
Okay.
And I mean, I won't, you'll need to correct it because I won't always have the complete understanding of what you're saying. So you'll need to correct it, but I'll make a start on it anyway, okay?
Yes.
Because I think we can use this in the paper.
Yeah,
And you,
this is till now. This is my understanding, and I think I'm. Yes, I think I need some words, word or words to name it. I need to name it. Naming is very powerful, and uh,
well, maybe if
I
you
don't
see
know.
the transcript, it'll help you to be able to name it.
Mm, maybe.
So this book that you're reading called doing what's it called differently? Writing your thesis differently or something?
Alternative.
Okay. Alternative.
Do you want to see that? I can share with you.
Sure.
Yeah, I will share that PDF, and I'm finding a little bit. No, that is of another. I have got one very good text of Kinchole and Tobin, that the definition of spirituality. the
Okay.
which I have written of definition of spirituality, that is also very near to our way of doing in our Kathmandu University. My supervisor is very much influenced by their work, and recently I got that. Like he had sent me, why don't you read this before going through your dissertation writing. Then I just scanned few things, but I could not go all. That you may find it interesting.
Okay.
I will be sending two with you then.
Good. There's also a book uh, on body mind that I have that has some really interesting material in it. So I'll look it up and send you a few quotes out of it. You might find it really interesting. It's some Canadian researchers.
Okay. May I ask you one thing?
Yep.
I have said I will be starting from methodology section, but somewhere in my, like in I feel what I feel is I need to do first a kind of in this phase at least once literature review to make my research question very much strong, so
Okay.
that I won't be deviated, and I would be very much linked with my research question and objective and everything. First, my outline, which I shared with you, that I had noted down in different parts, that would be one. But somewhere I feel I need to start with a literature review to have a good start, and then my methodology section would be much stronger. What do you think? What do
Well,
you suggest for me?
when I teach research, I try to encourage people to integrate the literature into their writing, as opposed to having a separate section that they call literature review. Now, I don't know what the expectations are of your university and your supervisor. I mean, is it is it who is your supervisor?
Balchandra Little, he also may not like the separate section as literature review like such, but I need to have at least somewhere so that I can include them in appropriate place.
Yes. No. Yes.
At
So
least I need to have with me for my reference,
that's
not to
yes.
write the whole section. In that way, I think I need to plan. Then I can embed. I have I have planning to start my story from my childhood school days to the time of research as the as zero section, or let's say -1 or something like that. So there I would be including my literature review. So somewhere my research question lies there somewhere. Like from there, I might have problematized issues, like root of the research issue might be there somewhere in my history. So literature review goes to that section mostly.
So how can I help you?
Just I'm sharing with you how to have whether I'm in like that. This way is okay or not. Just I wanted to know from you.
Well, do you need some suggestions of what to read?
uh, if you have something in your mind that you think yes I she should have done this, so you please share with me. Right now I don't have particular question to ask you.
Okay. All right. I'll give that some thought. I've got a few references here that I've mentioned today that I'll send you, and I think you can use some of the quotes out of that life writing um,
Mm.
Nady Saj book. Have a look
Mm.
at them.
Yeah, I found them useful, and I'll be using that. uh, I'll be using that. and I may not exactly, I may not name the life writing or autobiographical or something. I am somewhere in between there, and I may explore my own genre later on. But I'm somewhere there. I sort like it is in very performative form, integrating arts and trying to use the best medium of expression. And I have already thought of using videos, audios, and photos, animes, painting, pictures. I'll be using so many things there inappropriately and where it is needed. So there will be so many things I'll be playing with that.
Well, that sounds perfect. It sounds like it'd be very enjoyable.
I'm trying to make it very joyful at the same time. Um, and late on, when I do this, I may be I may develop my own way of writing papers. So later on in my other papers, I can have my own style of writing. So that would be different. So I give my 100% to the dissertation, and I will be learning a lot from it. So this is also part of learning.
Well, and mine too. So it's a very reciprocal process.
Yes.
Okay, so shall we meet next Tuesday?
Yes. Great too.
Okay, same
Yeah.
time?
The same time.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice to see
Great
you.
meeting you. Yes. Nice to see you. Bye bye.
Take care.
Just take care. You too.